All right. 7 days ago, I flew my first FPV, first-person view style drone, the DJI Avata 2, with their motion controller. It was an experience. Holy cow. This is normal mode, not even sport. Now, I can fly in full manual mode, with some bumps along the way. The first thing to accomplish is setting up the remote control to be able to fly manual. It's a straightforward process, plenty of videos out there on how to do it. You basically pull back the rubber on the back of the controller. There's 2 screws to tighten along the way, which ultimately has your left toggle switch for the throttle stay in place as you move it up and down. Everything else comes back to center on both the toggles here on the remote. From here, it's about finding a simulator to practice in-home ahead of taking the Avata out into the field. For me, it was a bumpy start, but you have to stay with it. As the week went on, getting the Avata into the air again sounded like fun, so took it out once again with the motion controller, played around with some of the acro options that this has, which are pretty cool, help it do flips and some other things. The 180 drift option gives you a very cool effect. Then it was about staying consistent for the week of jumping on the simulator every day for an hour here, maybe a half hour there. All in all, spent roughly 10 hours or so flying in that platform on liftoff until getting to a point where things felt much more controlled, where the drone did what I wanted to do in manual mode, and ultimately having the confidence to say, I think it's time to get outside and fly this thing in the real world. Gotta be honest, quite apprehensive about the first time going out. So grabbed the gear, went to an open field with next to nobody around, turned it on, and opted to start in normal mode to get it up in the air. Per so many recommendations online for your first several kind of times flying in manual mode. Got it up, flipped to manual, was able to get the controller in the right spot so that the drone took into manual mode, and off we went. Now, on the first manual flight, beginning to get a little bit overconfident here and not entirely certain what I did here, but it appears that I reduced the throttle and almost pointed the nose towards the ground, allowing the drone to meet the ground and say hello. My first inclination was the same as if maybe my niece falls over, wanting to get up and sprint over to see if everything's okay. But instead fumbled around to try to find turtle mode for some reason. I had to flip the drone back over, although it was already upright. Took me a second to realize that. Ultimately took it off, flew it back to where we originally started, and took a look at it. The drone was just fine. Put a fresh battery in to take it up for round 2, and this time got a little bit overzealous and opted for working to start it in flight in manual mode from the ground. This is not something that really I saw as recommended, but confidence was maybe a little higher than it should have been. So tried round 1, went like this. That's all right, went and flipped her back over again, and here we go. It was no different than taking off from the ground. The simulator felt very smooth. This round, wanted to try doing some more acrobatic-y style moves with it. flips, rolls, some of the simpler, I guess, acro style maneuvers to see what it felt like and see how the drone reacted. All in all, began to feel very smooth. The more it was up in the air, the better it felt. Confidence did grow. Ultimately brought the drone back and called it a first time out. Okay, I know you love being in these videos. Okay, no, No, Tweet, stop. What are you doing? Trying to record here, Twigs. I'm trying to record. Yeah. Can you give me a few minutes? Can you give me a few minutes?